But in 1944, 6 Muslims from the Spiritual Administration of Central Asia did go and make Hajj, under the approval of the Soviet Union. The United States would go on and try to prevent these Soviet Muslims from going on Hajj, famously self-reported in an article in Time magazine, an issue published in September of 1945, as we see here. I will link this down below so you can read this whole article, but let me read you a little snippet. Everywhere the Russians went, Hamid and Russi went too, yelling such things as, "You are no pilgrims, you're communist propagandists. You serve the Moscow atheists." Ripe tomatoes and Mohammedan Bronx cheers greeted the harassed Reds in Mecca's streets. Now imagine that you are going on Hajj, one of the main pillars in Islam that we are required to do if possible. And in this very spiritual, important moment in your life, CIA agents got other Muslims to throw tomatoes at you and yell at you. Now, they would prevent other things from happening, like meetings they had set up with leaders in the area. But overall, I can't even begin to imagine what that would feel like. An already rare and selective opportunity to go on Hajj as a Soviet Muslim and then to be harassed like that. It's really wild to think about, especially coming from a nation that claims to be morally superior, God-conscious, and the pinnacle of freedom. Look at what they're doing. Is it a surprise, though? But who were these hired CIA agents? Well, I found this article published in 2015 talking about the death of one of these spies. And he goes into detail about this incident. He calls this incident, quote, "probably the first open act against Soviets via Muslim communities conducted by the Central Intelligence Agency, sponsored by a German-based cover organization." He says that both CIA propagandists in Mecca were also of Turkic origin. One of them was 42-year-old Hamid Rashid, the other 37-year-old Ruzi Nazar. Nazar's obituary said this: "A great patriot of the Turkic world this century and a dear son of Turkestan," which was signed by Enver Altay, and family, himself a former agent of the Turkish National Intelligence Organization, who also wrote a book published in 2013 with the title Ruzi Nazar, the CIA's Turkish Spy. Now, do you notice anything interesting about this Radio Free Europe article? Look at the picture they're using for him. Yeah, he was a Nazi. Now, sorry, this is from Wikipedia. I'm not reading that book about him. After joining the Nazi collaborationist movement during World War II, Nazar lived most of his life in exile, first in Germany, then the United States, then Turkey. During 3 decades from the early 50s, he was a CIA officer. Well, actually, before that, because, hey, remember, he went and harassed Soviet Muslims on Hajj. That fucking Nazi. Now, it's no surprise that an incident like that in Mecca could prevent the Soviets from allowing more opportunities to do so. Now, they did allow people to go on Hajj after this, but you can see how they would have to be careful. Probably the US's intentions in doing that, making it more difficult and humiliating for Soviet Muslims to go on Hajj. And so when more restrictions are put around it, they can yell, "Ha, see? The Soviets are the bad ones. They're the ones doing the restricting on religious freedom."